boys aren't the only ones who are allowed to be badass, because girls can do it too. That's why in this video we're gonna talk about the top 10 romance anime where a badass girl falls for the boy. Let's go. Number 10, Alder Remain in the Sky.
この手でくびり殺してやる。
嫌な話だわ。その時は私もあんたをくびり殺さなきゃいけないわけね。
Start off the list is a series that was animated by one other than Madhouse Studio themselves. We're starting with a banger. In this series, we follow our boy Ikuta, whose entire life is turned upside down by a war. After a lucky chance encounter, he and his 4 other companions become Imperial Knights, and the quiet life he dreamed of is getting farther and farther away.
今日僕は人生で絶対になりたくないと願っていたものに3つ同時になってしまったんだ。貴族、軍人、そして英雄にね。
One of the best things about this series is Ikuta himself. He's such a well-written character that I can even compare him to the likes of Light, but with his own charm. Not only that, the flow of the story is pretty nice, with the entire series having story arcs. They also stick to the military theme, which adds some drama and tension while watching it. And of course, since it is animated by Madhouse, you already know the animation's great. Number 9, Shakuga no Shana.
ねえ、どうしてあいつは叩かれたの？
そりゃいきなりキスされそうになったら嫌がるだろ、普通は。
キス程度で？
程度？
そうでしょ。
Let's travel back to the early 2000s, and it's pretty obvious this series came from that era because of the character designs. In this world, there are beings from another universe known as Crimson Denzins. To fight them, warriors called Flame Hazes were recruited. That's when Yuji was saved by the Flame Haze that looked like a girl, but what Yuji didn't know was that that girl might have arrived too late.
もう翼は楽に構成できるようになったな。
なんとかね。
What's pretty interesting about this series is that the girl didn't actually save our MC, and he just became a scrap of memory. If you can get past the pretty average animation, you'll discover a great series with some very interesting plot points and great storytelling. The series doesn't even feel rushed at all, and that's why every character has a chance to shine, and that's what makes them a lot more believable as well. Number 8, Witchcraft Works.
これからずっと24時間私が守るわ。今夜から私の家で一緒に暮らしましょう。それとも2人で住めるところ探す？
What would you do if the popular girl in school was actually a secret witch who was tasked with a secret mission to protect you? Well, ask our boy Honoka, because that's what exactly happened to him. The popular girl in school, Ayaka Kagari, was too far out of his reach until he was attacked by a witch. Now he's involved in a war between 2 factions, and his regular life is instantly gone.
カガリさん。無事？怪我は？
If we're talking about highlights, I gotta give some props to the villains of this anime because they're so much fun to watch. Also, everything else seems pretty solid. The animation was amazing since it was being animated by JC's staff, and I think it carried a lot in making this series entertaining. Overall, I'd watch this as a casual thing, and even though it isn't mind-blowing, it's still enough to make my day. Number 7, Tomo-chan is a girl.
友のことだったのかよ。ありゃ強えぞ。何してんだお前ら！何をしてんだって聞いてんだよ！おい、お前何怒って？
When talking about badass girls, this girl was so badass that the guy she had a crush on doesn't even think of her as a girl. That's the situation our girl Tomo's in, because her childhood friend, June, treats her like she's his brother. Tomo even tries confessing to him, but it just doesn't work. Now she tries her best to make June realize she's a girl and knock some sense into him one way or another.
よう、ジュン。一緒に帰ろうぜ。
This is basically the series where the childhood friend has the biggest chance of winning, only that the guy is just so used to her being around. You might think that this show is going to be pretty cliche, but it isn't. It's actually really funny, and Tomo's friends are kinda inspiring as they always support her no matter what. Just give it a try and you'll see what I mean. Number 6, Darling in the Franxx.
君を味合わせて今から君が僕のダーリンだ
Who doesn't know about this series? If you didn't know, it's basically romantic Gundam. Hero wants to pilot these mechas called Franxx, which requires a girl and a boy to run. But no matter who he's paired with, he just doesn't show results. Well, that was until he met Zero 2, one of the most infamous pilots, known as the partner killer. And instead of dying, he became her trusted partner and it changed his destiny forever.
俺は君のパートナーだ。君を一人にはしない。
Now, some of you might say that it was good until we had the last episode, and to that I say, who cares? I'm honestly happy with the show because everything here at that point was insanely good. Plus, the animation and action scenes were animated so well. This series is definitely a 50-50, but if you just ignore all the criticism from the internet and go in blind, you find that it's very enjoyable. Number 5, Berserk of Gluttony.
一目て申し訳ありません。俺も仕事に戻ります。
フェイ松野です。いいことを思いつきました。フェイに極秘任務を与えます。
え？
視察に同行して私をエスコートしなさい。
Before Berserk fans go coming out of their caves, this isn't Berserk, this is Berserk of Gluttony, a completely different series. This dude's name is literally Fate Graphite, and he was just a gatekeeper. But everything changes when he realizes that his skill, Gluttony, doesn't only make him hungry, it also enhances his stats when he kills someone and eats their soul. After meeting Roxy Hart, he starts living a double life.
こっちで俺たちと楽しくやろうぜ。
やめろ！
何しやがんだてめえ。
If I was being abused as much as this guy, I wouldn't even think twice and just become a villain. It may look like a generic power fantasy, but trust me, the romance adds a lot of spice. Very underrated, and in an era where series like JJK and Demon Slayer are taking animation up to another level, its quality is pretty solid. So just don't overthink too much or that wee brain of yours might pop. Number 4, Monogatari series.
一番最初に僕に見せたかったっていうのは、まあなんつうか、妙利に尽きるというか、光栄な話だね。
見せたかったじゃないわ、荒木くん。見て欲しかったのよ。
Speaking of overthinking, this is one series that'll make you overthink like there is no tomorrow. Now, there are a lot of different stories within this series. It might be as confusing as Fate, but to give you a quick rundown, let me explain. It all starts in Bakemonogatari, where Aragi survives a vampire attack, then meets Senjong Ahara, a weightless girl. From there, he goes on a journey that will inevitably get him involved with the supernatural.
喧嘩売ってんだな。そうなんだな。
じゃあそうね。彼女が欲しいとか。
Everybody knows this, but the Monogatari series is a masterclass when it comes to plot and storytelling. I mean, it might be confusing if you can just search for the correct watch order on any website and then bam, you get to enjoy a masterpiece. This is literally one of the best shows ever made, and the romance is top notch. Plus, there are girls for almost everyone to choose as their waifu. Number 3, the case study of Anitas.
いやじゃん。俺は君に興味が湧いてきたぞ。
What could be more badass than a white-haired vampire lady who could literally burn you until you were a pile of dust? Well, before we meet her, let's say hello to our MC, Vanitas, first. He's one of the few vampires born under a blue moon, and that's why his kind just hates him. He tries to search for the legendary Book of Vanitas, and when he does find it, he may realize legends are nothing but rumors.
ここで引いてやる。だが覚えていろ。次は必ず殺す。必ず貴様を殺しに来てやる。
おお、君から会いに来てくれるのか。
The animation on this one is literally insane, and if you're a fan of Pandora Hearts, you'll definitely love this one too. It's one of those rare times where the anime adaptation actually slapped. Worried that there's no romance? Well, that was until we meet Jean, the Hellfire Witch, and let me tell you, it's gonna get spicy and even a little bit hilarious. Number 2, The Garden of Sinners.
少しだけ嬉しい。ほんの少し
ほんの少しだけお前よりの殺人衝動。
This is one of the most criminally underrated anime series of all time, and it's even animated by Ufotable of all studios. In this world, strange incidents have been happening where people just off themselves, and it all happens in the same building. Our girl Shiki is on the case, and alongside a detective who can use magic with her friend, they try to make sense of these mysteries and find their source.
相変わらず涼しげだね。四季。
別に。
Of course, since it is animated by Ufotable, the ones who animated Demon Slayer in the Fate series, you already know the action scenes are godly. Unlike most romance series, the plot in this one runs deep, and it's gonna make you fall in love with the mystery and suspense. Of course, there's romance, but I don't want to spoil you guys since I'm not a monster. Number 1, Yona of the Dawn.
今度はちゃんと戻ってくださいよ。でないと、この先、うぜえくらいそばから離れませんからね。
ハク。うざいのはやだ。
Last but not least, we have one of the most badass women in all of anime, and she's Yona from Yona of the Dawn. You see, she came from the kingdom of Koka, but her whole world comes crashing down when an act of treason occurred. Now, she only has her bodyguard and childhood friend, and they go on a mission to find help to reclaim her kingdom and her birthright as the princess.
あなたに会うためにここまで来たの。
なぜ俺はこんなにも。
清流、あなたの力を借りたいの。
Without a doubt, I could say that Yona of the Dawn is worth your time, and let's face it, it's one of the best romance anime of all time, period. The plot is full of action, romance, and drama, and suspense, and not to mention, Yona and the other members of the cast have some really good development and backstories. Because of that and more, Yona of the Dawn is number 1 in our list of the top 10 romance anime where badass girl falls for boy.